What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, continuing my extremely deep dive into Neil Young, all things Neil Young. Today I'm going to discuss The Times, an EP, a live Neil and a guitar in his house or in his private studio, songs he recorded for the Fireside sessions back in 2020. I'm going to talk about this, review it, not play music from it. Not going to rank it because I'm going to drop one massive rank all the live albums at once video when I'm done with all the live albums. And so it's The Times. That's what I'm going to talk about today. If you're following in sort of like regular time, like as I go, I already did Homegrown, which was officially released after Colorado, but I did that back in the 70s when it was recorded. So that's why I'm skipping Homegrown and I'm on to The Times, but I've already done Homegrown. So anyways, this is a short little album and is an EP. And back in COVID time, back in that previous era, that crazy time that we all survived, thankfully, those of us who are here, rest in peace, those of us that we lost, unfortunately. Neil did some Fireside sessions that he streamed on his website. I believe that's where he streamed them. And I think he also then dropped this album of some of the songs that he performed during COVID. They were him, an acoustic guitar, him singing, pretty lo-fi in the grand scheme of things, but very intimate, very Neil personable. And in the case of these 7 songs, I'm going to say utterly compelling. I really enjoy this listen. A lot of it has to do with the fact that these are all protest songs. He has taken protest songs, and this is sort of both the power of Neil, the power of protest music, the sadness of the situation we are currently in July of 2025, is that a lot of these protest songs still kind of ring true today. And this came out at the end of the president we currently have, his previous term, right when COVID was hitting, and then Biden came into office. And so it resonated then. It was still something that was kind of fun to listen to during the Biden years. It's just like remembering the anger. And now that we're back where we are now, it's just like, I need more protest songs in my life, but not just like protest songs like these. Passionate, well-written, compelling, of the moment, powerful songs in their original versions. And even now, like Ohio is on here, right? Ohio was written about a very specific moment in time. 4 dead in Ohio, 4 students, American students, shot by the National Guard. We now have the National Guard being sent to like control quote unquote riots in Los Angeles. Protests that pretty much turn rough when they're agitated. Yes, there's always people who are going to cause problems, but the large percentage of these people are not. The National Guard is going out to police these things. The military, Marines were sent out to police these things. Ohio still rings true today. Kind of the sad thing about it, though, is listening to this version of Ohio, there's a little weariness in Neil's voice, and I don't think it's because of age. I think it's because he realizes he's still singing this song literally 50 years later, and it's still like, it's powerful. Like the song didn't make a difference. We haven't progressed. There's power in these songs. And so to hear Neil sing this now, as soon as he goes into the riff and you know what the song is, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what a protest song should be like. And then you hear him sing it and you're just like, yeah, man, we're still protesting the same things 50 years later. Interesting set list. It's 3 songs from relatively early. We get an Alabama. We get a Campaigner, mid-late 70s. We get an Ohio. Still things that ring true today. Racism in the South still exists. Campaigner, politics, crushing line. Even Richard Nixon had soul, because you're like, wow, yeah. It's not even Richard Nixon had soul. It should be at least Richard Nixon had soul, right? We've seen Nixon interview, for all of his faults, an intelligent man. Like he might have thought China, like he opened up China. Nixon had some positives. He ultimately cheated. He ultimately got caught. Let's put it there. Nixon's probably biggest fault was that he got caught. So anyways, but it's interesting to hear this song about this and to hear Nixon and how we had cries against Nixon. It's like, wow, if only we had Nixon. So yeah, that's a heartbreaking song to hear, but I still think it's pretty powerful. And then Ohio. Those are the first three songs. And then the middle song, and I think middle is got to be on purpose. But the fourth song is Bob Dylan's "The Times They Are a Changin'," and Neil's performance is resigned. It's kind of tired, but it hasn't given up hope completely. You can hear that, like, almost the attitude is like, I wouldn't be singing this if I didn't think I could still make a difference. But again, why do I have to still be singing this? And nice harmonica in there, feels kind of slow, but the overall vibe of this performance, and I think it is a great performance. I absolutely love that it's a protest song from one of the original rock protest singers being covered by somebody who also wrote protest songs, but almost in a different part of the world, or almost when this one, well, no, because he went back during the 70s with Hurricane, but just a protest singer singing another protest singer's protest song when both of them were like 60s born protest singers. I don't know. To me, it's powerful. I mean, Neil Young and Dylan are both on the Mount Rushmores of sort of folk rock and, artist rock in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and all to today. So I don't know. It's powerful to hear Young do a Dylan song. But Young's version almost sounds like if you were to sing this, you wanted a kindergarten class to hear this song, but you didn't really want them to have to delve too deeply into the lyrics. You just wanted them to get the sense that, hey, you got to fight for what's right. You got to, if you see something, say something. And so it's almost like he's singing it to children, like he's softening the edges enough just to make it like palatable. So nobody like actually went out and burned down, a building or something like that. But they're like, but you got to fight for what's right. And yeah, some wrong things are happening, but we know it's wrong, right? There's a gentleness to it. There's a bittersweet vibe to it that just feels like, I don't know. For some reason, it resonates with me and makes it feel powerful, almost as if Neil recognizes that we are so divided as a country that if you tell somebody to protest something specifically, they're not going to do it. But if you can kind of get to the root of what human nature is, maybe we can come to an agreement and then move forward. I love it. I think it might be my favorite thing on here, despite the fact that I love all the tracks on here. I just think this cover of The Times They Are Changing it is so powerful this long after it was originally written. The next one is Looking for a Leader, a song that originally was an anti-Bush song back on Living with War. He's kind of updated the lyrics. Now we get a reference to Obama. We get a reference to this new leader. It's very much of the current era and the current president, though the previous version of him. We get a specific mention about the wall and the fence that he wants to build around us. We get a specific mention about Black Lives Matter. So it's a vote him out type of thing. It's an urgent message, definitely a more topical folk song that in 2020, you're like, oh, we did it. We voted him out. And then you kind of put it back on again 5 years later and you're like, darn. So yeah, without getting specifically political about obviously what I'm talking about, then we get A Southern Man, which also feels resigned, which almost also, it doesn't feel defiantly angry as much as it feels like, man, if we're still dealing with racism in this day and age, like what is wrong with us? And it's such a great song. And I almost think like this resigned version of it further highlights the strength of this song. And like, I think what has made Neil's more recent protest songs work is what this song in Ohio clearly illustrate, is that when Neil is passionate about something and he's in the moment and he picks up a pen and he like jots down a song and goes to record it, it works. It pays off. His instincts are right. And I think I've done this on this channel. When I get to those albums, like I had an idea and I recorded 12 songs in 8 days and I was done and moved on to the next. I'm like, wow, maybe if you had put in some more time into it. But no, I think this album clearly illustrates through like the power of Ohio's original version and Southern Man's original version that sometimes Neil's instincts are correct. He knows what he's doing. So we get Southern Man. And then in what I believe is sort of an offering of hope, we get His Little Wing off Hawks and Doves, almost like it's a cry for help or like a cry for salvation, like this thing that can sprout its wings that will come down and maybe lift us all up and save us. This idea that like, hey, winter just might be the best time, so let's just buckle up and get through this and see the silver lining. I don't know. I think this is an interesting choice to end this album on. And it almost reminds me of, and it escapes me, something that swoops down at the end and like saves something else, another song that he had written. I was just about to say it, then it escaped my mind. Swoops down, we jump on, we're saved. Darn. But yeah, I like this as a closing song. I think it provides some weird sense of optimism. But I'm like, there will be, reminds me of Flaming Lips Waiting for a Superman. Like things are really, really dark. And here we are just waiting for a Superman. And even though that song is also kind of dark, there is this underlining sense of like, there is hope. We just got to hope because maybe that person does exist. Maybe there will be peace in the future. Maybe some leader can actually mend these divisions and we can go forward on somebody's little wing. But yeah, I really, really like this album. 26 minutes long. You know all the songs. The production is pretty low key. It is Neil and a guitar, harmonica. It really is like, this is Neil at his best. Like, I think this is like Dylan, Neil Young, any artist. There are others that I just can't think of who can just sit down in front of a microphone with a guitar and convey and can inspire, whether I'm right or wrong, can inspire these many thoughts and emotions and like ideas and like can build this sort of like storied edifice upon the back of this album. There's probably just 7 songs that he performed and he's like, oh, they all have the same thing. I'm going to drop them on an album. It doesn't, it feels more powerful than that to me. And that's the beauty of art. The beauty of art. 26 minutes of absolute just Neil Young perfection, though none of these are perfect. Does that all make sense? I'm rambling, but I really like this album. I think it's a must hear. And if you don't like it, you know in 26 minutes and you can go on with your life. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.